Well, looks like it's that time of the year, October. That month that overshadows September. And the month that specializes in all things scary. As well as that one day of the month called Halloween. You know, where people can go outside and dress up as something scary for candy. Unfortunately, people don't really like to dress up as something scary anymore. Instead, they'll dress up as something stupid like this. I mean, really, isn't the whole point to be scary, I guess? Like a vampire or something? And yes, this is how I'm going to segue into the game that we're going to talk about. Oh yeah, Castlevania is a fine series indeed. Spawning multiple entries into this long-running series of games, and some of them being probably one of the best games ever made. And I should know. I mean, when everyone talks about these two games, they're always like, and of course I completely agree. Despite never actually ever playing that game in my entire life. Because I'm busy doing other things better with my time. Like playing Kid Drac. You know, that guy from Smash Brothers. As a collectible PNG. But most importantly, he is our main protagonist of Kid Dracula. I mean, what else was I supposed to say? I mean, there he is. That's him. There. So anyway, this is Kid Dracula, a Japan-only game released for the Famicom back in 1990. Obviously, this is not the original ROM of the game. I'm actually playing a fan translation. But the game was actually officially localized in the Castlevania collection that was released in 2019. So now everyone can finally play this game! As the name implies, you play as Kid Dracula. He's supposed to be Dracula's son. So I guess that technically means that we're playing as Alucard. You know, I guess I see the resemblance. Well, to be fair, it's a lot more easier for me to acknowledge Kid Dracula as Alucard, so might as well do that for the rest of the video. So yeah, Alucard is trying to take back his throne from Gargamoth, who is an alien dude who's trying to take over the world. And because of this, all of Kid Drac's friends have turned on him. And so now you gotta go forth just to beat this guy. In other words, yeah, it's a pretty straightforward plot. You can't go wrong with it. Alucard has a lot of weapons that he can use at his disposal, and even learns new weapons as you play along. You can actually get these new weapons by just completing the stages like normal. Though not all of them are actually weapons, but rather there's also abilities too, such as flying and changing your gravitational pull. And of course, if you want to use your special weapons, you have to hold down the attack button. And you want to do this as often as possible because you get to see Kid Drac's face down there go, ah! Right, enough about the whole explanation ordeal. Let's go on ahead and talk about the actual game. So it starts off with this coffin here being electrocuted or something. And then the big man himself shows up. And thus, Alucard's adventure begins. And of course, it only makes sense that you start off in his castle, obviously, where you have to defeat all the generic Halloween monster tropes ever, like zombies, bats, knights with armor, and Frankensteins who are confused about themselves. So I guess you can say this game is very Castlevania. It's so Castlevania. Except that there's a swinging pendulum, taken directly from Castlevania 3. Hell, even the level 1 music is just a remix of Beginning from Castlevania 3. I just thought I'd like to point that out, that's all. And also show off the VRC version of Beginning from Castlevania 3. Speaking of which, here's the first boss! And it's some kind of guy in a cloth with a cross on his head? I guess nothing weird there. I mean, sure, why not? I mean, yeah, yeah. Whoa! Oh, wow. Ooh, yikes. Okay, well, okay, wait, hold on. There's gotta be a good explanation for this, okay? I swear, this is not, that is not what that looks like, okay? That is, no, that is something else. I know it is. And that's why I'm going to explain it to you. According to the manual of this game, these cloth-wearing foes are actually related. And they're supposed to be ghosts. And you're wondering, why is there a swastika on their forehead? Long story short, the swastika symbol can actually mean a bunch of different things in different religions. One of those meanings can be good luck, and it can also be used as a family crest. In other words, yeah, these ghosts are related. But unfortunately, in the Western world, this symbol has always been misrepresented because some Austrian dude got angry about something. Did I seriously make a detailed analysis about the first boss of this game? Yes, I did. So let's see what else this game has to offer. And now we're greeted to a screen where we can play a mini-game. Ooh! These mini-games can actually give you opportunities to give you more coins to play the mini-games, or more lives. In order to play these mini-games, you'll have to collect coins by killing enemies with your charge shot. But you might not want to actually do that all the time, because all these mini-games kind of suck. They're all basically the same game, except there's just a different theme to it. And they're all randomized too, because it's all just a game of chance. Though I think the one minigame that baffles me is Can-Can. Basically, you're supposed to guess the color of these girls' underwear here. And whether you get it wrong or right, they still flash you! I'm not entirely sure why this is a game, but yeah. Oh, and the best part is that you can't even choose your mini-games, because that too is also randomized. And it's like that line puzzle thing, except like they add more lines after you choose one. Great. So yeah, screw the mini-games. They're not really that special, to be honest with you. But the only time you'd actually want to play these if you actually really need lives. And you might want to, because this game is kind of difficult. And this here sky level is actually a good reason for me to talk about the difficulty of this game. Well, just like in the actual entries of Castlevania, Simon, or whoever the heck you play as in these games, jumps higher more than further. This also applies for Alucard here. Not that it's a bad thing or anything, because there's no delay in the controls. But don't you notice in the footage here how every time I jump, I always land at the edge of the platform? Well, it's not really intentional. That is something that you actually need to do. If you jump too early, you'll die. If you jump too late, you'll fall. And oh, don't get me started on the knockback. Alucard bounces back like 3 times. So if an enemy hits you near a ledge, you're just done. I'd say your best bet is to just fly over the stubborn enemies. Though you can only do it for so long, as the timer on the bottom of the screen there only gives you 5 seconds, which is honestly just more than enough. Though that doesn't mean that you're completely safe. Well, at least this serpent boss looks pretty cool, even if it does appear to be a flickering mess. And easiest, as you don't have to deal with Kid Dracula's sluggish movements. But do you actually want to know who's the real easy boss in this game? Damn right, Lady Liberty herself! While being far easier than most of the bosses, she is the most diabolical. Because she doesn't fight you. Instead, she challenges you to a quiz game. The rules are easy. Get 3 right answers and you win. And yeah, that's pretty much this boss fight. It's just a quiz game. It even features the previous bosses that you encountered, such as Alucard himself and the chicken. Most of these questions are actually geography related, so if you suck at that, then oh, of course the knows that one. Other than that, pretty standard questions. So anyway, after that quiz game, of course it only makes sense that we arrive at the desert, where I die a million times by these jerky scrolling, screw things. Oh, hey look, is that the guy from Super Mario Odyssey with the hands? Now, a segment like this is where the mechanics really start to frustrate you. It's another one of those segments where you have to do precision platforming, but this time you're trying to scale up the elevator. And it gets even worse when enemies are thrown into the mix. Oh yeah, and our favorite feature plays a big role in this level. And of course, you start all the way from the bottom. It doesn't help that Alucard here has to stop just to throw his projectiles. Meaning if you stop, you go down with the rest of the platforms. So you end up having to jump and shoot at the same time. But it just seems like that's just a minor complaint from myself. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had no problems with it previously, but there's a reason why I brought it up. So let's go up our way to the final level, where Alucard has to fight a dragon boy, which can only be defeated by the ice ball. Then you go up this elevator, which will absolutely frustrate you. Like, what the hell happened here? And why do I have to keep fighting the dragon boy? But yeah, everything has to go right in this segment alone. Because as I mentioned, every time Kid Drac shoots, he stops. And he can't really jump either because there's spikes above. And then after you reach the top of the elevator, you fight the giant robot's head. Oh my goodness, this robot looks so stupid. Look at his little angry eyes. Oh, look at that. Fucking hell. How the heck are you supposed to figure out how to dodge this guy in the first try? Alucard moves so sluggishly anyway that you're bound to be hit, or even come close to being hit. And of course it's one of those bosses with a really tight vulnerability point. AKA, you can only damage him when he's trying to screw you. And oh boy, I'm amping up for the final showdown with King Galamouth.
So you made it this far, Kid Dracula, but all who oppose me must die.
Unfortunately, Kid Dracula has now passed away due to underestimating the powers of Gargamoth, and thus he shall be missed. And all of a sudden, Alucard came into life. So yeah, the final boss isn't exactly difficult, but rather it's hard to find when to actually hit him, because clearly he's fucking invincible. It was only then till I accidentally found out his weakness by using the bomb shot. You actually have to shoot him while he's spitting a fireball at you. Yeah, you kind of have to be in the line of fire here. Basically, you have to shoot the moment he opens his mouth, shift to the side a little bit, and rinse and repeat. Yeah, this boss fight is gonna take a while, but when you do beat him, this happens. The news of Kid Dracula's victory has spread rapidly. Many mainstays wanted to become Kid Dracula's friend, and so he finally became the Demon Lord. What? Oh yeah, and all of a sudden the enemies that tried to kill you earlier now wants to be your friend, so cool. And he's the Demon Lord, so the good ending, I guess, maybe? Well, there's no way to tell, so I guess we can just end it as, well, they just decided to be his friend and everything is all good. Except that there's a sequel on the Game Boy? Well, let's just check it out real quick. Well, this is Kid Dracula on Game Boy. And from the start, I noticed how it's got a lot more pizzazz than the NES version. It even adds new things like cutscenes, levels, and even mini-games that are actually fun to play. Oh yeah, I say that this is a sequel because I noticed how in the cutscenes they say stuff like, "Well, I thought I got rid of Galamouth," and "I wouldn't trust a traitor." I guess it's pretty safe to say that Kid Drac was pissed off. Nonetheless, Kid Dracula is a very good game. It's just that there's just a couple of things that make it challenging, but it's not extremely hard. It's tolerable. And also because I just wanted to talk about this game. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you gotta excuse me, I'm gonna finish this up because it's kind of getting too late for this.